Welcome back. Well, it goes without saying that it's a really tough time at the moment for the Liberal Party federally, and Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Joining me now to discuss is radio legend Ray Hadley. Ray, worst ever news poll this week, 27%. Not a surprise, really.
Tough's one word, disastrous is another. Yep. And as I say, and I've said repeatedly on your program and in other places, Sussan Ley is not capable of leading this government to a win. And now the most likely person to win an election, Andrew Hastie, has decided that with net zero, and I heard Michaelia Cash talk expertly about it earlier, if that's the way they're going, he has to resign from the shadow front bench and disappear. And you see, there are parallels here, and I know it's a broader issue about conservatism, but in the UK at the moment, you've had a Conservative shadow minister throw his lot in with Nigel Farage, okay? So Denny Kruger's his name. And so he said, look, the Conservative vote's been lost here. The party's no longer what it used to be. And I started to think of the parallels here, both in New South Wales, Victoria and federally. And John Howard said it so eloquently last week on your program, we need a point of difference. Now, the obvious point of difference would be net zero. That's the obvious one. But listening to Michaelia, it appears Sussan Ley wants to go down this net zero path. So I did some investigation today. 8.8 billion tonnes of coal was on the marketplace last year, 2024. That's the most coal in the history of coal exploration. The two biggest users of coal, India and China. Thermal coal in New South Wales, our biggest purchaser is Japan. So with this nonsense of Casanova Bowen today again, it's a pipe dream. It's ideologically, you know, it's their idea, but it's not possible of happening. They can't get there. Not while China and India are gobbling up coal to the tune of 8.8 billion tonnes a year.
We could have no emissions, and as long as there's continue to increase, it makes no difference to the global emissions output.
None whatsoever. I mean, it's a record amount of coal in the marketplace last year, 8.8 billion. And yet this minister just drives me cuckoo with this ideological fanfare about what he wants to achieve. Even someone from the Grattan Institute like Tony Wood has said, we don't know what's going to happen in 50 years. Now, I know that I'll be labelled a climate alarmist and, you know, and all the rest of it, and I'm anti-climate, you know. But look, the Weather Bureau can't tell me what's going to happen next Monday with any surety. It's either going to rain or it won't. It's a toss of the coin.
Such a good point.
How can they tell me what's going to happen in 50 years? I mean, they're backing science, and some of the scientists say, no, I don't think it's going to happen. And so all of a sudden we're going to err on the side of caution. But that's all well and good to err on the side of caution. But while ever China and India are building coal-fired power stations, hundreds of them, and we're selling them coal, obviously. I mean, the answer's a pineapple. It's just ridiculous. It's mind-boggling that the Liberal Party can't see the folly like Andrew Hastie can.
Well, I think the issue with the Liberal Party is they need strong leadership. They need a leader who can inspire Australians, take Australians on a conversation, and there is no one really in Parliament at the moment who has that ability. And that's you know, someone to connect with voters, someone who's got charisma, leadership.
I just heard you say, when you were talking to Michaelia, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said that there wouldn't be a move against Sussan Ley because she's still got the numbers.
At the moment, right now.
What are you thinking in Canberra? I mean, take off your heads and put on a pumpkin. The lowest since news poll has been done.
Do you know what someone said to me today? A Liberal who's a critic said that Sussan Ley and her office are spending more time trying to promote her personal brand than worrying about policies. They're just not worrying about policies. And you can see that. There's no policies out there 4 months on. What are they going to argue for? Well,
Newspoll would have to say, based on today's result, whoever is promoting Sussan Ley's abilities is not doing a very good job.
Well, indeed. All right, let's get to a couple of other topics. I was keen to ask you about the Prime Minister. I covered this at length on my show last night. Albanese abandoning his electorate office because of the pro-Palestinian protesters. How weak is a Prime Minister? A Prime Minister who can't stand up to the mob?
I've heard your comments on replay about that. There's a very simple solution. He agrees with them. He agrees with what they're doing. So because of the church nearby saying we can't have this nonsense that's disrupting us, they're moving his electoral office. But it just, I'm not surprised by it, because in another time, in another day, he'd be out there with a kefir on doing exactly what they're doing. And if you listen to the rantings I listened to some audio today of a young bloke out the front. I mean, it's extreme left. If it wasn't Israel and Gaza, it'd be some other lame brain thing they'd be talking about. And it's just, there are older people involved as well, but it's young people who have no idea of the history of all of this. And I'm not surprised that he hasn't resisted by him moving and them staying, because it would take him to say to the AFP, in conjunction with New South Wales Police, round them up and get them away. But he won't do it because he believes what they're doing is right, by the fact that he's going to the United Nations on behalf of the Palestinian state.
Exactly. And look, police can find the way to do these things. They did it during COVID. You know, they were very tough on breastfeeding mothers who dared to sit down on a park bench.
Yeah, like I say, the Prime Minister doesn't want them to move. He'd rather move himself.
No, exactly. And the other point, and, you know, I don't want to defame anyone, so maybe these people have nighttime jobs, but don't they, you know, when are they working? Maybe they have nighttime jobs, but you know, they're there all day.
We spoke about sovereign citizens last week. Now, they hate authority, they hate the police, they hate big government, they hate all this, but they're on the rock and roll, they're on Centrelink for a whole range of things. So they don't hate them enough to say we don't want your filthy lucre. And the same applies to these people. And we're not defaming anyone because we haven't identified anyone. No, they know who they are.
True. Let's turn to Eurovision. So there's a whole number of countries now that are saying they will boycott Eurovision if Israel continues to participate. So this includes Netherlands, Spain, Iceland, Ireland, Slovenia and Belgium. They've all threatened to pull out if Israel continues to take part. So it's been reported that Eurovision has given Israel two options. They can either withdraw or participate not under the Israeli flag. Now, Ray, the comparisons by the Spanish Prime Minister has been made to Russia. This is nothing like Russia because Hamas invaded Israel on October 7.
Yes, and Russia, of course, invaded Ukraine. And the murder continues. But look, if they say they won't participate, the people who organise Eurovision should simply say, well, don't, because we're not going to allow you to tell us how to run Eurovision. And of course, Israel, who have a great tradition of appearing there, and some greatly talented people, obviously, but I could care less what these whinging, whining nations are doing. I mean, it's again typifying what we're putting up, not just in Australia or UK, but right across Europe. I mean, right across Europe, the woke have overtaken the world. They've overtaken the world. Unfortunately, to try and rectify it, it's going to be difficult, not just here, but across the globe.
Especially because you have organisations like Eurovision, but many others who succumb to the pressure, succumb to the boycott and the demands.
Yeah, well, I guess they're scared of the ramifications and what it would take with someone with strong leadership to say, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to do exactly what we normally do. And if nations nominate or don't nominate, we'll continue to run the competition.
Yeah, exactly. And the other point to make on that, of course, is that it was at the Nova Music Festival when 378 Israelis were killed. This is another music festival. I mean, they should be having a special vigil for the Israelis, not banning them.
No, just ridiculous. Can I just make one final point? I did a piece yesterday on Mark Speakman. Who, for people in other states and territories, he's like Sussan Ley, except he's in New South Wales.
Well, not just for other states, for people in New South Wales as well, they don't know him either, Ray.
No, well, you're probably right. For everyone viewing, he's a leader of the opposition, you wouldn't know it. And I said yesterday that his office is run a bit like, he's a senior counsel, King's Counsel. So his office at the moment is run a bit like, I'm told by insiders, a legal chamber. So instead of prosecuting the case for the electorate, it's like going into a legal chamber in Macquarie Street or Martin Place, and it's run by lawyers, including the boss. He's a lawyer. And many people in there are lawyers. And with all due respect to lawyers, some of my dearest friends are high-ranking QCs and SCs who've protected me from defamation writs and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, he said after the Kiama fiasco, where they lost, well, where do we go from here? And then he came up with all these reasons why he should remain leader. I'll tell you where you should go, Mark, out the back door as quickly as you possibly can. Because while you lead the Liberal Party in New South Wales, every day you're there, they're a day further away from Chris Minns, and I should just tell you, I don't think this was a private conversation. Chris Minns was at a function I was at last night. No, Chris Minns was at a function, and I get on really well with Chris Minns, and he came to the table where I was at the function for the Olympic celebrations, and he sort of intimated to me that he'd seen what I said about Mark Speakman, and I think he was half by suggesting I should leave him alone.
Because he wants him to stay there, of course.
Because I think that's his best. I said, look, if he's there, you'll win 2 more terms, not 1.
Yeah, Kelly Sloane's a much bigger threat.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
That's funny. You've got to share more conversations that you're not sure if they're private or not.
Well, it was a conversation in front of my wife, and so...
There were others there.
There were others listening who may have been just having a listen. But anyway, Chris, I hope I haven't betrayed a confidence.
So there you go. Chris
Let
Minns
me tell you, I'm going to keep hammering Mark Speakman regardless of what you say.
Yeah, Chris Minns endorsing Mark Speakman for remain as opposition leader. Ray Hadley, great to see you.
Thank you.